Came in now you're looking like a sign of place. I know that I can never mention in your face. My fault, I didn't notice it was out of place. You painted fairy tales on the wall. Called into the better of the house and please show me just a little bit of honesty. I hope I got a heart that I can salvage, but it's getting harder now to recall.
It is meet week, which means we only have a couple more workouts left before we go and compete at Ghost Clash down in Miami. We leave for tomorrow. You just saw one of those workouts, which was a super quick deadlift session. We worked up to a triple at 716 pounds and then dropped down to 606. Just hit a couple more triples at that. That's it. That's all the workout was. Going to be following the same kind of structure for a squat and a bench workout. And then we're going to do one more super light SBD day on Friday. That'll be 2 days out, so I compete on Sunday. Overall, feeling very good about this meet. I tested out the adductor on squats on Saturday, worked up to 735 or 738. It moved very well, felt comfortable. I could tell that I haven't been squatting much because joints overall were a little bit achy and just the forearm felt a little bit off. No injury or no pain at all, and the adductor felt 100%. So I think as long as I can get these last 2 sessions of squat in, the form will kind of come back, and 805 is still on the table for that. That one is the only attempt that I'm a little bit cautious about, just because if I do miss that, it does set me back too far where I wouldn't be able to make it up on the other 2 lifts and hit 2300. I definitely really want to nail that third attempt squat, whether it's 360, 362.5, or 365.5. We're going to take what's there on the day. Bench, still feeling very good. 265 is the plan with potential for 268, and then deadlift whatever I need based on what I hit on the squat and bench, looking at something between 410 and 418.5. So the bench and the deadlift, I'm feeling pretty confident about. Squat, we'll see. Take what's there on the day. We started the water load and weight cut. I have about 20 pounds to lose. I've been waking up around like 218 pounds. It's right around what I normally do for my cuts. Water load has been going super well. Started with adding an extra gallon of water about 12 days out. I'm pretty bad about drinking water, so that's just kind of a way to really prime my body. I used to do the pretty standard cut where you start doing like 1.5 gallons, like 5 or 6 days out, and then move up to 2. And I found that if I just go right to that, my body doesn't really adapt to it super well, and it kind of makes getting those 2 gallons in a little bit more difficult. If I start with a gallon about a week out, it goes a lot smoother. So that's just something that I've kind of played around with. I'll kind of flash on the screen my water load protocol looks like. This is what works for me. The sodium isn't exact. You kind of get the idea of how it goes. It's just normal. Then I kind of ramp it up a little bit and then cut it out about 2 days out from weigh-ins. That last day of water with low sodium is just kind of flush out that sodium. Hopefully when that flushes out, draw some of that water out. Plan will be Friday, get a really quick SBD day in, super light, and then go to the sauna most of the day. Probably be quite a few sessions in the sauna. Not looking forward to it. That's honestly the worst part of a powerlifting prep for me. We got goals at 198 to complete, so hopefully I can hit them and then maybe move on to 220. I have a few plans post-meet in mind. It kind of is all going to come down to how the meet goes. As it's looking right now, I should be able to hit my goals, but you know, anything can happen on meet day. If I don't at this meet, I'm looking at potentially signing up for a meet down at Surge Student Levels, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive for me. It's about 8 weeks away. I think as long as I'm like healthy and I'm like real close to hitting 2300, I would maybe extend my cycle, just kind of go for that. It would also be close enough where I wouldn't really have to worry about travel too much, so kind of give me an advantage there. The only difference is I don't like doing the cut that closely together. So that would just kind of give me an extra opportunity to come in. I could maybe eke out a little bit more on bench, maybe a little bit more even on deadlift in those 8 weeks, and then make sure my squat is feeling 100%. We'll see how it goes. We're going to hit the last squat and bench day today. It's Tuesday, and then probably gonna hit a session in the sauna. That's just something that I do a couple times a week leading up to the meet. It just kind of helps prime my body for being comfortable in the sauna, so that like if I'm doing like a 20-minute session, I don't start to panic after like 8 minutes or something like that. Like 20 minutes at this point is pretty comfortable. Maybe right around the 18-minute mark is when I start kind of checking the clock quite often. It also just kind of helps my body adapt to having to sweat. If I do like a 20-minute session at kind of the start of when I start like sauning, I'll be really kind of starting to sweat around like maybe like that 12-minute mark or something like that. Whereas as I get closer to the meet, I'm kind of getting more adapt to it. My body starts sweating a little bit earlier. I mean, that's a mechanism your body uses to dissipate heat, and just like everything else, you can train it. So now I start kind of really sweating at about that 8-minute mark. So that's an extra like 4 minutes of losing pretty good amount of water weight, and being able to sit comfortably in the sauna makes the cut way easier. So if you have access to a sauna and you do need to do a water cut, I definitely recommend getting sessions in, starting at least like a month out, maybe once or twice a week. Just really helps the cut go. Not really gonna film this squat and bench workout. It's the same as the deadlift. It's just pretty light. I'll probably go up to like 606 on the squat, and then probably something around like 451 on the bench. We're going to pack up tonight. We leave for Miami tomorrow. So I fly on Wednesday night. Thursday, we're just gonna kind of chill a little bit, finish off the water load, and then Friday will be that last SBD day and make the weight. I probably won't film too much of the sauna, if any. I always feel weird about filming in saunas, and they're usually in locker rooms, and that's kind of just something I don't want to film in a locker room like some influencers like to do. Overall, we're feeling very good, staying at like 5 days out from the meet, and yeah, see you in Miami.
You could get anything you wanted. Yeah, I would have handed it all over, falling for you. I need to fall for you, for you, for you. Grace, I know, but I can never match your name to face my fault. That when I noticed it was far too late, you left a fingerprint on my soul.
Hey guys, so we are back in Madison. We competed at the Ghost Clash. Before we go over the attempts and show the footage for that, we're going to kind of talk about the events leading up to it. So we headed out to Miami on Wednesday, got in super late. Thursday we just kind of relaxed a little bit, finished up the water load, went grocery shopping, got kind of everything prepared. And then Friday, as you guys just saw, we did our super light SBD day. Worked up to 3 singles on squat with 4 reds, 3 singles on bench with 3 reds, and then a couple triples on deadlift with 3 reds. So just super light work, just kind of get the blood flowing, practice those movement patterns, and kind of raise the body temperature so that when I went to the sauna, I was already feeling pretty good. So up to this point, the water cut was going super well. Felt like it was going better than the American Pro, which, as you guys saw with that one, I made weight at 90 kilos, no problem. Thought it was gonna be another fairly easy cut. Got to the sauna, we went to Lifetime Fitness, and that's kind of when everything went to shit. So, go into that a little bit. So the way I normally sauna for a meet is I do usually try and start about 20 minutes with 10-minute breaks in between. I'll do like 4 sessions at a time and then dry off, weigh myself, and then take a little bit longer break and then do another 4 session block. I think for the American Pro, I did like 18 total sessions or so. And it was usually, so I've done like probably like a dozen cuts at this point, and it's usually around like the 12th session mark or so that it really starts to like suck and I have to like dig deep to stay in. When I say I was having a tough time, I was really having a tough time for this session or this cut, because it was halfway, it was at like the 10-minute mark of the second session that I was really starting to like be like, wow, this is not great. So that sauna that they had was probably the hottest sauna I've ever been in. I don't know the temperature of it, but it was very much uncomfortable. The way I feel is that like your body can only sweat at such a rate. Lower temperature sauna, you're gonna lose just as much. The like physical and mental toll is way lower. So this one, yeah, like I did 20 minutes the first session, and then the second one, yeah, I got to the 10-minute mark and already was starting to kind of creep up that it was like, I could barely make it to 15 on that one. So the first 4 blocks, started with the 20, managed 15 for the next 3, rested for a little bit, and then the next 4 really was only able to eke out like 12 minutes, and by the 8th one, it was like I had to get out by like the 8th minute. I was having like panic attacks a little bit, like many panic attacks, like I was breathing pretty heavily and my head was just hurting super, super bad. So it was early enough in the day where I decided I needed to listen to my body, go home, kind of rest, laid down for like an hour and a half, let my body temperature come back to normal. My head started feeling quite a bit better. I was weighing about 208 pounds at this point. I had enough time where if I needed to, I could probably try and find another sauna and finish off the cut. But being at 208, it just felt like it was gonna be too much. To be already feeling as bad as I did and to have to lose another 10 pounds. Yeah, decided that at that point it was not worth it and needed to look out for my health. So we decided to call the cut there. I think if I was at like 205, maybe 206, I would have definitely gone and finished off the cut. Like 8 pounds isn't as bad, but 10 is when it really starts to be hard. That last 2 pounds is really too much. So called the cut there. Ended up weighing in at 93.45 kilos, 206 pounds. Obviously not what we wanted, but kind of learning experience that I need to maybe take a day to just like scout out the saunas beforehand. Hopefully not too many more big cuts to go to make 90. I'll talk about my plans for the competing the rest of the year at the end of the video. Why it's not really going to be too much of a factor going forward. Like I said, we weighed in 93.45, set our openers on squat at 325 kilos, bench was 235 kilos, and then deadlift was 380 kilos. After we weighed in, we just spent the rest of the day eating, drinking, just kind of resting, went to get sushi for dinner, and then, yeah, woke up about 217 pounds or so on meet day. I would have liked to have been a little bit heavier, maybe like 219, but I was also a little bit worried about over consuming, because I felt like for the American Pro, by the time deadlifts came around, I was just like too full, and like I was having a tough time, almost like getting my belt on, and my leverages felt off. So it was kind of a balance on that part. In hindsight, I think I did like the perfect job, because the meet ended up going super well, and as you'll see, yeah, everything was good. So here is the meet day footage, and then we'll kind of talk about all the attempts and where my head was at, and like what changes I had to make on meet day. So that was the Ghost Clash. As you guys saw, overall, a very good day. 8 for 9. We got the goal total of 2,300. Even if it wasn't at 90 kgs, it was still a huge victory for me to hit a PR total, first one in almost 2 years, I think. 2023 was not the best year competitively for me. Didn't hit really, I think, any PRs other than like a squat PR. So to hit this, I also hit an all-time dots PR of 662. So very happy with that. Definitely felt like 2023 was like a year to kind of like experiment. Worked with Mike Shear, did strongman, came back to powerlifting. This meet prep was probably one of my best, honestly. I took stuff I learned from Mike, some stuff I learned from strongman, like had extra work capacity, and then combined that with a lot of the stuff I already knew, and it really just feels good for it all to come together as well as it did. We'll start with squats. Like I said, I woke up at like 217 pounds. Would have liked to have been like 219 or so, but by the time I was warming up for squats, I was probably right around that. Warm-ups for squats, they didn't feel bad or anything like that, but I also didn't like feel great. Everything moved really well, but I was never like, wow, I'm like super on right now. opened with that 325. The way they did the rack heights was kind of weird. We had to like get them on meet day and then send them in online. And I don't know if I screwed something up with that because my rack height was definitely not right. I put in 14 and when I came out, it was like way too low. I told them like if they can like raise it up 2. So they bumped it up. I think I said 3, but they bumped it up 2. At that point, I was just like, I'm just gonna go. Hit it, super easy. Barely even felt it. Went with the planned second, which was 350 kilos. I think at that point I told them to like, hey, like, can you bump up my rack height by like 2 places? And the way that the rack worked was that the numbers are kind of reversed. So like my rack height was 14 and 12 is actually a higher rack height, which I think is like kind of backwards. But I think they took it as bump the number up 2 because it was actually lower than when I came out for my first attempt. And at that point I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna go. Unracked it. It was like a 6-inch pick and ended up, it felt a little bit off, but the weight moved super well. So decided to go with the 365. I felt like it would take a lot for me to lose the meet, so why not just kind of go for it. The weight moved super well. Honestly, I feel like I had quite a bit more in the tank, and like the unrack, I felt I was a little bit unbalanced, but once I got settled, the weight felt good, popped right up, and yeah, nice little 2.5 kilo PR, and to finally hit a 800-pound squat in competition, it feels really good. Kind of surprised because for a long time, squat was always like my weak point, and for the last few meets, it's been probably my more like consistent lift, which is interesting because it's always the one going into the competition that I'm most nervous about, and yeah, for it to be the one that kind of pulls me forward, it's good to be a squat guy again. Going back to my IPF days when I hit the world record for 3 for 3 on squats, started the day off super strong. That put me in a very good position to go for that goal total. And then we moved on to bench. Warm-ups were feeling really good. The pad was really nice. It was very grippy. It was really thick too. You kind of sink in a little bit, which is super nice because then you get a little bit more like surface area on your shoulders, and like because you sink in, you're not you're kind of like pushing like against the pad a little bit versus like just dealing with friction. So yeah, I felt pretty locked in. Watching some of the other flights, I knew the pauses were going to be pretty long, so that had me a little bit nervous. I also switched my shoes. I went to the Avancus. They sent me a pair and kind of just tried them out a little bit, and the grip seemed really good. So I decided if I'll take them for my opener. If I didn't like them on that, then I'll switch back to the tiers. But yeah, the grip on those was perfect. Everything was good. Took the opener 235. That moved super well. Pause was on the longer side, which has been the case for the last few meets. So definitely something I have to work on in my prep going into the meet. So I was definitely pretty quick with my pauses in training, other than the long pauses. We went to the planned second, which was the 252.5, 556. Again, that moved pretty well. I was feeling pretty decently confident in 265. I think if I would have made 90 kgs, I maybe would have gone a little bit more conservative on the bench and gone like 262, because I would have gotten the squat, like if I had gotten the squat, let's say at 90 kgs, gone 262, then I would have had to only pull 417 or something like that to hit 2300, which I felt like at that point I was very confident I could do. I tried to time up the pause a little bit, kind of bounced it a little bit, and I think that threw me off a hair, and then was able to get off the chest pretty good, and it just felt like I ran out of energy in my like left tricep specifically, and just could not lock it out. It was super close, but unfortunately it was not there. Need to get my bench figured out. I do feel like the strength is back there. It's just I don't know. It's so close to being back in that that range that I want it to be. And I just want to be back to being a 600-pound bencher soon. So hopefully this next meet prep gets me back there. I'm probably going to do a little bit longer of a peaking block, because every time I've done like the 600 has been like a longer peak, like I said in the previous videos. Like 584 is like pretty typical for me to be hitting after like a 12 week. Once we get that locked in, it's gonna be really dangerous. Kind of was a little bit behind at that point. Did not think 2300 was gonna really be on the table. We looked at what the numbers I needed to hit were and came out to 426 kgs for deadlift. I saw 939 was what I had to deadlift, and like, that was like, wow, that's like way too heavy. I don't think I can hit that. And I saw it in kgs and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually only 6 kilos more than I hit in training. And when I hit that 420 in training, I felt like I had a little bit more in the tank. So talked to my friend Pat, who a couple flights before me, I was like, hey, like really good meet day handler. And I was like, hey, can you like help me with my deadlift attempts? He suggested I actually drop down my opener to 370. And then that just kind of, just to give ourselves a little bit less fatiguing opener and second attempt. And then we figured out that for me to hit a personal best on my total, it would be 415 kilos. So that was kind of the range for my third attempts. Plan was go 370, 400, and then based on 400, pick between like 415 for just a personal best on the total, or go for the 2300 with the 426. So opener, super easy. Second attempt, 400, felt pretty easy. Would have liked to feel a little bit easier, but at this point I was like super locked in, and we just said, fuck it, let's go for 426. I'd already won the meet at that point, and the 2300 was what I came for. And boy, the gamble paid off. So we hit the 2300 pound total, 1043.5. Yeah, so that was a really good meet overall. And I'm super happy to be back hitting PRs on my total. It's really funny in hindsight that missing the third bench kind of gave me the opportunity to go for that 426, which ended up, it's probably one of my favorite lifts I've done. It did feel like coming back on like the fourth quarter to win the game. And yeah, I'm hyped about where training's at right now. All right, so we got the 2300 pound total. Unfortunately, it wasn't at 90 kgs, but I'm still super stoked about how the meet went. This is probably one of my more favorite performances, especially with hitting that third deadlift, feeling kind of up and down the whole weekend. Like, felt down about missing weight, came back up with squats, missed third bench, down again, and then to absolutely grind out a third deadlift to hit a huge goal total. It feels really good. So moving forward, the plan now is I signed up for Power Surge, which is September 28th, I believe. It's gonna be about 24 weeks, minus like this week of taking off, just kind of chilling. So we'll get back to volume work, hopefully hit that 90 kgs, 2300 pound total, maybe even higher if we can put some weight on, or put some strength on either squat or deadlift and get the bench back. And then as long as that goes well, I would like to take a shot at going back to Strongman. Official Strongman Games actually takes place in Madison, so I'll get some home field advantage, and I'd like to get that title of World Strongest Man under 90 kgs. And then once that's done, make the return back to powerlifting as a 100 kg lifter and fill out the 220 weight class. So exciting things coming up. Again, thanks for kind of coming along the journey of this whole meet prep. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Leave any questions you have for me about if you guys want to check out the prep I used for this meet, check out Proven Strength app. Link for that is in the description below. You can follow along with the training that I did for the off season, the peak for this meet, as well as 20 other programs, range from beginner, intermediate, advanced, 3, 4, 5 day programs, bodybuilding style training, bench only, squat only, and you get added to our private Discord where you can ask questions, get form checks, talk about training. If you guys are using it, please tag myself and Proven Strength on Instagram so we can share your videos. But really appreciate you guys. This was a fun experience with the whole meet prep, trying to film a little bit more for you guys. I'll definitely keep it active with this off season coming forward. I don't know if I'm gonna put that one on Proven Strength because it is gonna be just pretty much what the Ghost Clash off season and peak was. I don't think I'm gonna make very many changes. I might, and we'll see. I've got an idea of probably the next program I want to put on there, probably just like a smaller one, just like a pivot style one that's kind of a little bit different from other training, just as like a filler block. So that's kind of my next planned one to add on there. If you guys have any specific ones that you want, let me know in the comments and I could probably make a train style with that. But anyways, yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next meet prep.
Fresh glaze on the D-roll. Pulling up, smoking haze through the back door. We get that fresh glaze on the